if we don't embrace the concept of change, we're going to get crushed under the change that's going to happen regardless. So that's kind of number one, like be bold and move forward with change and be proactive about it.
Welcome to Hot Docket, the show where we talk about winning marketing strategies that have built the most successful law firms.
Join us every 2 weeks for the latest trends and tactics to grow your law firm.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Hot Docket podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the warrior mindset for personal injury law firms, and we've got a very special guest to talk about it with. So I'm excited.
Yep. And we've talked to Brian before, and he's a very interesting attorney, and he's got a very interesting
It's going to keep
outlook.
the name kind of like a...
Oh, you want to go into that?
All right, well, not anymore.
All right.
Keep on going.
Fair enough.
Well, sorry, but Andrew ruined your entrance. Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, good to see you.
Good to see you. So today's theme is talking about the power of having a warrior mindset as a personal injury law firm. This is something you obviously take to heart, with your firm's slogan being Warriors for Justice, Family of Warriors being the name of your referral network, and Warrior Vision, a topic we'll cover later, being featured front and center on your website. Why is this theme so important to you?
Because what we do for a living is the modern day equivalent of fighting for justice for people like the samurais used to fight for justice for the emperor. I mean, like, we are the modern day warrior for people to get justice within the system. And if you don't have that mindset, you're not going to do the job that needs to get done to get justice from the powerful.
So can you walk us through your history as an attorney, and if you've always had that mindset, or is this something that developed over time as your career grew?
It's a great question. Thanks. I started wanting to be an attorney in high school. I have this great origin story where I fought a traffic ticket and I beat the traffic ticket, and the judge convinced me that I should be a lawyer. And so from that point forward, I wanted to do nothing but trial work. I went through college knowing I wanted to be a litigator. I joined law school. I joined every competition possible in law school to get good at competing and fighting and being good at this craft of being a trial lawyer. And when I came out, I got a job with the Justice Department in their honors graduate, program. It's a very competitive program. I was Order of the Barrister coming out of law school. So very litigation, trial intensive history. After I got done with being a prosecutor, I became a civil justice lawyer, and I've been doing that ever since. And I think that initially I didn't recognize that you had to formalize the concept of what you were, right? Like, I just knew that I was this person who fought for justice, right? And I used to call myself, because I like being a prosecutor, so we used to call ourselves civil justice prosecutors, and I even trademarked that term. So I have trademarked the civil justice prosecutor term, and I advertised it for a while, and I don't think anybody got it, right? They get warrior for justice a lot more than civil justice prosecutor. And then after a lot of years of kind of running a mediocre business, I got some good business coaching, and I set down, I mean, we put a lot of thought into it, but we set down what it meant to be a warrior for justice. And so now we're able to articulate and teach that to our entire team. And that really, lets that concept take a life of its own within the business structure.
And that type of business coaching, I don't know the number of firms we've talked to at this point that kind of live and die by EOS. Are you one of those EOS firms, or is there a different paradigm you're working off of?
We are an EOS firm, basically. So I never got an EOS coach, and I've read the EOS books. I've talked to the Fireproof guys, Mike Morris, John Knockhazel. I've done a lot of interior work on my own, and I am the visionary of the firm. I do have an integrator now who helps run the firm, but we're not a crazy EOS firm. I'd like to even be better at EOS, but I would say that we go back before when EOS would be implemented, and we created this foundational concept of Warriors for Justice, and that was more important than whatever system you use, because I think Vern Harnish's scaling up system is probably the better system for larger entities. Like, once you get over 100 people, you may want to switch out of EOS into scaling up. I think that's a really fine system. There's other fine systems out there. I know that. There's some guys doing 8-figure or 7-figure, whatever. They have their own systems. So whatever your business system is, it probably works. Before you get there, you have to find out foundationally who you want to be. That's, what your core values are, why you stand for them, why it's important. And so that's what we went through. We went through that kind of like mission critical analysis of like, why do we exist in the world? Why are we a good thing for the world? And we started there. And we came down with the fact that we have the vision and the concept of being warriors for justice, that our mission is to maximize justice by aggressively fighting for our clients' rights. There's no one on my team who, if you don't ask, who are we? They'll say warriors for justice. And what do we do? They'll tell you that line. Like, they know the mission. All right. And for us, we've determined that our core values, which come pretty much straight from the way I feel about representing people, are fight to win, passion to serve, relentless innovation, and own it. And within those 4 concepts, you can pretty much gather the way that we handle a case, and the way that we handle our firm, and the way that we handle our business, and the way that we handle a client. And it all circles around those concepts.
Yeah, it's very clear to me that you have an incredibly clear understanding of who you are and what your firm is. And I think that's more than half the battle, really.
So I'll tell you, on the front of my phone, which you guys can't really see very well.
No, and the people listening are going to be like, oh, great.
Right, listen. And so it says, and I read this every single day, there could not be a free society without the people having the ability to right the wrongs of the powerful. And that's the reason we are important.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is a great message. And speaking of messages, I know that being an innovator for you goes hand in hand with being a warrior. So can you explain that relationship a little bit more and why it's so important to you and to your clients that you innovate?
I think that innovation, we have a core value of being relentlessly innovative. And we talk about what that means. So it means two things. There are 2 aspects to the relentless innovation analysis. The first is that the world is ever changing. And for us and our generation is changing so rapidly. My generation is older than you guys, right? So for me, this is a crazy, rapidly changing world. I can't imagine that it's not the same for you. And we have lots and lots of things facing us as a business. We've got, people that are entering the law that aren't lawyers. So you've got this non-lawyer ownership of law firms coming at us. We've got all sorts of computerized systems coming at us. You've got case management systems and online systems and marketing systems. And you've got now AI overlaid on all of that. So if we don't embrace the concept of change, we're going to get crushed under the change that's going to happen regardless. So that's kind of number 1, like be bold and move forward with change and be proactive about it. But on top of that, when you have that relentless innovation concept in your firm, all the little changes that you make that people resist, right? So if you have a big business entity, like not even big, but if you have 25 people or 50 people or 100 people, and you change one little thing, everybody wants to buck. Everybody wants to like, no, we don't need to do that. We can still dial the phone. No, we can do that. Like they just want to stay the same. They want to be stable. But if you have this cause of relentless innovation, you can always back people up and say, that's not who we are. If you need that type of stability, you need to work in a different firm. You need to embrace this. You need to jump on. You need to get on board. And when the management team comes to the whole and says, this is the change, because we have that, we get adoption much quicker. So it allows us to move faster because we have an underlying current of belief of a core value that we will be moving regardless. So just get used to it and let's move on.
Can you give us a few examples of some of those changes that have been the most effective for your firm?
So some really interesting changes are, one was this concept of being able to tap into the cameras and create warrior vision. Another one was that we decided that we needed an internal training system. So we created a warrior university, and we have that as an interior training thing. The other was this concept of specializing on referral marketing. So we created that family of warriors concept. And then internally, we moved from an old world platform with TrialWorks into a very hard, very new world platform in Litify. And anybody who knows anything about Litify knows that this is not a simple thing to implement. And there was lots of change. We sadly drove out a couple of administrators who simply didn't want to accept that this is where we were going to go. And I burnt the boats to get us there, right? Like, I let people know, don't talk it down. You can talk to me about the problems, but you can't say it doesn't work or undermine it. If you do that, you can't be here. And so that ended up being a true statement. And now, 2 years later, we're very happy on it. And we're making some really great changes in it. And now what we're doing is we're superimposing AI analysis on marketing data that's coming out of the internet into Litify and into an AI platform so that we can figure out better, more subtle differences and more subtle patterns of where people are finding us with good cases.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about Warrior Vision in a few minutes here. But I think on our end, we always like to look at both sides of the coin. So just like there are things that you're doing that worked really well on the tech side, I'm sure there are things that you've tried that haven't worked as well. Are there any of those problems that kind of come to mind? And do you think that those things that didn't work as well are more due to the idea not being there or the implementation not being there?
It's a really fine question. I think that the things that have not gone well have been because of implementation, honestly. I think there have been so many things that we've wanted to try, so many things that we wanted to do, so many things that we still should be doing and we aren't doing that will be great if we can get there. And it's just a matter of keep pushing the envelope and keep pushing for things. I wanted to give you an example of something that is failing. I wanted to be able to train the intake team. So we have an intake team. It's in multiple locations. We have internal intake professionals. We have external staying at home intake, and then we have outsourced vendor intake professionals in a foreign country, right? So we've gotten some of these foreign workers to help us. They're great people, but training them to do things that we don't do for the purposes of simply landing a case and being a referral body for that is much harder than just saying it. And so far, I think it's still a great idea. We've got a strong marketing department, and we should be able to develop claims on things that we don't want and give them to friends so that it creates a referral relationship back to us for personal injury, workers' comp, social security, cases. But we're not there yet. So we're still training on making sure that our intake division is able to land and call through and do a great job on the cases that we're bringing in just on our own stuff, right? So to add a layer of other people's stuff onto that is just not there yet.
Yep. Sometimes it takes failing at a wider scale to realize you've got to double down and concentrate on what's working for you.
Well, we were 19 people, 20 people foreign, and we decided that we thought that it was working, and then it wasn't working as well. And then we put a manager in and we thought it was working again, and now it's not working as well. And it's not an easy formula to get right.
So jumping back to Warrior Vision, I've never heard or seen anything even remotely like it. Can you explain to our audience how you've been able to leverage that?
So we created the concept of Warrior Vision with a company called Christy James, who has the technology that we licensed from them. And we licensed it in a way that we have control of our DMA to use it in our advertising. And instead of using their concept, which is called Rape Proof, we rebranded it, repackaged it, and put it into a form of LaBovick branded interface so that it's called Warrior Vision. It's branded with our stuff. And when you enter it, you can go to the cameras in our jurisdiction where we have the rights to it and pick up your cameras, find your accident, and be able to see if, the cameras caught your accident. Now, the truth is that they don't catch every accident. There's cameras that are broken. There's cameras that don't record well. There's cameras that miss it. So you get about 20 to 30% of positive hits, but 20 to 30% of positive hits is way better than no positive hits because you're just, writing away for it weeks later and seeing if it's there. And it gives you the credibility of having people come onto your site and be able to see that you have this technology that's unique and it sets you apart. So It's a little bit of a unique selling proposition, a USP in our advertising. And that's how we've been able to make good on the fact that we have this really cool technology, but it's a good thing. Now, if you want the honest failure on the backside of that, for me, for all candor, is that we get a ton of calls from other lawyers, their clients. Okay, can I have it for my case with Joe Smith's office or whatever? We get a ton of that. Or people that are just, looky-loo. Hey, can I get in and look, and can I find whatever? So there's a lot of people that you got to deal with it. But hey, I'd rather have the attention than not the attention. So
Does that help on the referral side though? If you're the kid with the cool shiny toy,
yeah,
you've got more friends that are going to come over.
I've had some people call me and want to make a deal on that. Hey, can we license it from you and still do it? We'll share it. We'll do this or that. We'll share cases or. So I haven't done any of that. I'm I don't know. I'm not great at that. I like doing my own thing. I like having my own thing. That's just kind of the way I am. So I have a great referral program with the people that are in our family of warriors, and that's where I like to stay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And with a Warrior Vision, I know that you mentioned 20, 30%, whatever it may be, might not catch the accident in question, but has there been any specific example you could point to with Warrior Vision where you were like, wow, I don't know that I would have been able to do anything if I didn't have this thing handy?
Literally the first week, it might have been the first day, but it was probably the first 2 days, right, that we were advertising. We got a person that called and said, hey, I was involved in an accident on the highway. It was not my fault. The officer cited me because the guy didn't believe blah, blah, blah. It was a whole story. And we looked at the accident online. The camera was right on the highway, caught it. Basically what had happened is that there was a car broken down in the middle of the highway with his flasher gone, right? But its flashers on the right side weren't working. So it looked like it was turning, right? So it looked like he was going to move over. So now he's broken down with one flasher on. And there's my client who is coming forward, right? No, my client is actually in front, and a guy comes in and tries to get in front of a truck, right? But clips the back of this car and then goes crazy and hits my client. And he said that my client cut him off.
Oh.
And so the officer didn't know which. The truck was gone. The guy in the car didn't see it. And so he cited my client with it. But we were able to prove very quickly, just by looking at that tape, that my client was not at fault. The guy had a great policy. My client was really hurt. We ended up picking up, I think we probably picked up $250 on that for the person. It was a $250,000 policy. So I was like, oh, this paid for itself for, years. This is amazing.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
So circling back to values, Warrior Vision is definitely integrated in with the branding of your firm and all of that. When you brought up your values at the beginning, I found it very interesting because it's core to your brand on the marketing side as well as the internal operations. It's what we call just staying very true and very authentic. And I think you're one of those brands too, that you could tell it's very core to your business as a whole. You know yourself. Can you talk to us a little bit about your core 4 or 5 values?
Sure. I mean, we talk about them a lot. We have these very clear mission and we have a very clear core values. And with as clear as they are, we have a Friday 30-minute to 45-minute catch-up meeting for the entire staff. So, we have like 107 people on staff and about 90 some people typically show up for it. And we'll all be on and we will go over each of the divisions, how they did for the week, whether we made goals. We have birthday announcements. We have administrative announcements. We have technology announcements. We have marketing announcements, right? So you cover in that meeting pretty much all the things that are going on. But invariably, we talk about a lot, I wouldn't say every time, but almost every time, some issue that happens in our core value scheme. And a lot of it comes up because we've created a program for people with a company called Nectar. We used to use a company called Bonusly. Now we moved to a company called Nectar. And it allows each person on our team to give bonus points to other lateral people on their team, like anybody up or down the chain, who does something in coordination with our core values. So you can give somebody 20 bonus points because they did something that was relentlessly innovative, or they owned it for something, or they fought to win, or they had a passion to serve, right? So that happens a lot, right? So these people are constantly bonusing each other. And then with those bonus points, you get whatever you want on Amazon. Basically, they have all of Amazon to shop. And for each point you get, it's about a dime. So if you get, 100 points, you got, $10 or something. If you get 1,000 points, you got $100. If you get 5,000 points, you get $500. So it's, you can build them up over time and then spend them.
Leveraging your internal people is
talking about core value.
Yeah. Leveraging your internal people is one of those things that I think tons of firms just kind of don't even think of doing. Like it's the easiest way to generate referrals is just incentivize people who are already on your team to send them your way. So
referrals, spectacular. Almost better than referrals, reviews. Google reviews. Tell your team, hey, tell your client, you're going to help me out a lot if you go online and you say 5-star review to LaBovick because Christy really helped me out as a paralegal. She was amazing. I'm going to read that and I'm going to bonus you for that. So I'm happy to bonus you if somebody mentions you. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's what we want. So you can leverage your team in a lot of different ways.
100%. So Brian, we're going to end here with a little game. We always have a game at the end. And for you, we put together a game we're calling Match the Slogan to the Firm. Really creative.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's hard to understate the value of a good slogan. Warriors for Justice is excellent. And I think there's plenty of other firms that could match you based on your slogan. I'm going to give you some other firm slogans, and your job is to match them to the firm.
Oh, golly.
I kept it to Florida, mostly.
Okay.
Mostly. So Andrew and I will go back and forth here.
Committed to excellence.
Committed to excellence. Let's go with Circe Denny.
Good guess.
That's Newland.
Newland, that's Newland. I'm never up in Orlando. I wouldn't know that. I never see Orlando advertising or anything.
All right, we'll let you off the hook on that one. You'll get this one. For the people.
Oh, for the people. Lido Rider? Oh, no, Circe Denny. That's Circe. Circe and Lido will go back in my head, right? Oh, no, that's for the people. It's Morgan. Sorry. Yeah, what am I thinking? Morgan, for the people. So for the injured is Gordon and Partners. So
yeah,
that's
for the
right.
injured and Morgan is for the people. Yeah.
That's right.
Don't scream, call Akeem.
I have no idea who Akeem is.
This one's not Florida.
It's not. I don't even know who that is.
This is Anastopolo.
I don't even know them. I'm sorry.
They're one state up, right? They're in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina?
Yeah. It's just a great. And what's his number? He's got a great repeater number too, I think.
I don't remember it.
Or maybe it's Payne, 1-800-PAIN or something.
I thought he was a repeater.
It might be.
If you did any pain, I'm sure the 401 pain would sue you. Yeah. I had a buddy of mine who 411 vein, and they threatened him. Oh. He was a vein doctor. I was like, I think that you can use it, but it's up to you. So I think
spelled V-E-I. He spelled it right, V-E-I-N, not V-A-I.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I think a lot of people would probably misspell vein. All right, next one. Call the aggressive attorneys.
Oh, that's these guys down here. Is it Goldman, Daskell, or the aggressive attorneys? Is it Schiller, Kessler, and Gomez? Is that it?
You got it.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's Schiller Kessler Group, but
SKG. Yeah, Schiller Kessler Group. Yeah. I see them, the aggressive attorneys. Yeah. It's interesting because for a long time, so we have a very aggressive motif, right? This is a marketing question. And I think that you get more people with love and humor than you do with aggressive fighting, right? And so you saw John Morgan have all these funny, cutesy ads out there for a while. And now, I think since the last year, with as aggressive as the world has gotten, you watched marketing change into this very, now he's like, we fight for you. And he's like, John Morgan's going to punch you out, on his ad. So I found it very interesting because it's almost like a change in motif from funny and love to aggressive and fighting.
And they both work. They both can work.
Yeah.
And this next one is, I think it doesn't get much lovey and dovey than this one.
Call my dad.
Call my dad. Is that the guy in Boca, Shiner?
That's right.
Bruce Shiner. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Call my dad. So my daughter hates it. but my wife and I both love it. We think that his advertisement with family is really family oriented, and I think it calls to a lot of people.
Do you like the I Love My Attorney? That one?
I do.
That's Stenger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Stanger, Green, and Finer. Sean Green and I are really tight.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
We talked to him for a little bit at some point. Okay, so you got what you get? You got 3 out of 5?
I got 3 or 4 of them. I'm not that good at this game. I'm sorry.
That was bad. That was pretty good. Better than I would do.
Yeah,
100%.
you did really well. Yeah. And one thing to note is that you're an attorney doing this, and you know some of these people because they're referral partners or competitors, and you know the market well. The crazy part is that if you poll people to name a single law firm, in most markets, about 50% of people cannot name a single firm. So it kind of shows that we have a long way to go in branding for
It's crazy,
law firms.
right?
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys must talk to a lot of people, but there's all this concern always about Morgan coming into a market, right? And when Gordon and partners ended up stopping their use, or maybe they stopped whatever it was with the Morgan Group, they stopped advertising. Morgan came into our market. And there was a lot of consternation from pretty much all the PI lawyers, and now Morgan's going to eat up all the market share. And it has always been my feeling that Morgan floats all boats higher. Mm-hmm. When he comes in, the market gets bigger because his advertisements increase the broadness of the market and lets more people know that they should be calling a lawyer. So our calls went up when Morgan came into the market. It was, I'm in a mastermind, and we all said, and they said in every market that they've noticed, when Morgan enters it, it gets better for all of the branded, or at least relatively well-known brands in the market. Now, if you're like a solo guy, you may lose some market share, but.
Yeah, I was about to say it's coming from someone though. So it's probably coming from solos that they may have gotten those from like referrals of my uncle knows a guy that knows a guy sort of thing. Yeah. And I think that the branded firms will eat away at those.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would have thought the opposite. I would have thought Morgan comes in, the next 2 biggest firms suffer the loss.
Yeah, maybe. It's
no,
hard
I don't
to say.
think so. I think Stanger, I think Rubenstein, I think Gordon, I think they all went up. And I think that even the secondary firms in that market that have lower budgets, like there's this demarcation of like the $3 million a year TV guys and the $1 million a year TV guys, right? Mm-hmm. And even us in that market, there's probably 5 or 6 of us in that kind of like fighting for 3rd or 4th place category. I think we all increased. I think we all felt okay about it. I don't know anybody in my circle of advertising lawyer friends that is suffering.
Good. Well, that's what we like to hear. Thanks for joining us today, Brian. We learned a ton, and it's always good chatting with you.
It was awesome. Thank you guys for having me on. Peace out.
Peace out. All right. That was a good one. I enjoyed it. I really like that warrior mentality mindset. And I think a lot of people appreciate it too. You want somebody who's got that outlook fighting for your case.
Yep. And it also drives the internal operations of your firm. It makes it very clear what people are supposed to do and all that sort of stuff. So it's helpful on both sides.
Yeah. And I remember seeing Brian, I think at LitiQuest first, and always looking to innovate and be kind of tip of the spear. So we'll leave some links in the show notes to obviously the firm and probably Warrior Vision too. I think that's on a separate domain. So we'll leave those links in the show notes. And thanks again, Brian, for joining. See you on the next one. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Hot Docket. We're your hosts, Bobby and Andrew, founders of MeanPub, the marketing agency for ambitious law firms.
Have questions about marketing or anything we covered today? Email us at mark@meanpug.com. Be sure to subscribe to learn more.